Have you ever wondered what lies beneath the bustling streets of Asia's greatest cities? While millions of people walk above ground every single day, there exists a hidden world below their feet that most will never see. Today, we're going on a journey deep underground to explore some of the most incredible subterranean cities, tunnels, and structures that Asia has kept secret from the world. From ancient hand-carved cave systems that housed entire civilizations to modern engineering marvels that could survive nuclear war, what you're about to discover will completely change the way you think about the ground beneath your feet. Let's start our journey in the heart of China, where beneath the mountains and forests, there are entire cities that were built in complete secrecy during one of the most paranoid periods in modern history. During the Cold War, China was gripped by fear. The threat of nuclear war with the Soviet Union and the United States seemed very real, and China's leader, Mao Zedong, became obsessed with the idea of survival. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, he ordered the construction of massive underground facilities that could house millions of people in the event of nuclear apocalypse. These weren't just bunkers or shelters. They were complete underground cities with everything needed for human survival. One of the most famous of these is located beneath Beijing itself. Known as the Underground City or Dixiaocheng, this sprawling network covers approximately 85 square kilometers beneath the capital. Imagine an entire city, complete with schools, hospitals, restaurants, theaters, weapons storage facilities, and even a mushroom farm, all built deep underground. The tunnels could supposedly accommodate around 6 million people during a nuclear attack. Workers dug these tunnels by hand, using the most basic tools imaginable. The project took nearly a decade to complete and involved thousands upon thousands of workers who labored in secrecy. But Beijing's underground city is just the tip of the iceberg. In central China, carved into the mountains of Hubei province, lies one of the most extraordinary underground complexes ever built. Known as the 816 Nuclear Military Plant, this facility was designed to be a secret nuclear weapons production center. Construction began in 1966, and over the next 18 years, more than 60,000 workers carved this massive complex into solid mountain rock. The facility goes down 21 floors underground, with over 130,000 square meters of floor space and nearly 20 kilometers of tunnels and roads inside the mountain. What makes this place truly mind-blowing is the scale of engineering involved. The main cavern is so large that it could fit a commercial airplane inside with room to spare. The walls are thick enough to withstand a direct nuclear strike or a magnitude 8 earthquake. Everything was designed for self-sufficiency. There were living quarters, dining halls, offices, hospitals, and even a cinema for the workers who would have lived here for extended periods. The facility had its own water supply, ventilation systems that could filter out radioactive particles, and backup power generators. Despite all this effort and expense, the plant was never fully operational. The project was abandoned in 1984 as China's international relations improved and the threat of nuclear war decreased. Today, it's partially open to tourists, offering a chilling glimpse into Cold War paranoia and the incredible determination to survive at any cost. These underground cities weren't unique to China. Throughout Asia, civilizations have been building beneath the surface for thousands of years, each for their own reasons. Now let's travel west to the border between Asia and Europe, to the region of Cappadocia in central Turkey. Here, the landscape itself looks otherworldly, with strange rock formations called fairy chimneys jutting up from the earth. But the real magic is what lies beneath. Over 2,000 years ago, ancient civilizations discovered that the soft volcanic rock in this region could be carved relatively easily. What started as simple storage rooms and hiding places eventually became something far more ambitious. Entire underground cities were carved by hand, floor by floor, deeper and deeper into the earth. The most famous of these is Derinkuyu, which translates to deep well. This underground city could house up to 20,000 people along with their livestock and food stores. It extends approximately 85 meters below the surface, with at least 18 levels that have been discovered so far, though archaeologists believe there may be even more levels that remain hidden. Walking through Derinkuyu is like stepping back in time. The city had everything needed for extended underground living. There were living quarters for families, communal kitchens with ventilation shafts to let smoke escape, wine and oil presses, stables for animals, chapels for worship, and even schools for children. The most impressive feature is the ventilation system. Over 50 ventilation shafts brought fresh air down to even the deepest levels, ensuring that thousands of people could breathe comfortably underground. Some of these shafts also served as wells, providing fresh water to the inhabitants. But why did people build these underground cities? The answer lies in the turbulent history of the region. Cappadocia sat at the crossroads of many ancient empires, and was frequently invaded by armies passing through. The underground cities served as refuges where entire communities could hide during raids and invasions. Massive circular stone doors, some weighing up to 500 kilograms, could be rolled into place to seal off tunnels from the inside, making the cities nearly impregnable. Attackers above ground might never even know that thousands of people were hiding just meters beneath their feet. These weren't temporary hiding spots either. Archaeological evidence suggests that people sometimes lived underground for months at a time, waiting for danger to pass before returning to the surface. What's even more remarkable is that Derinkuyu isn't alone. Over 200 underground cities have been discovered in the Cappadocia region, and they were connected by tunnels that stretched for kilometers. If one city was discovered or compromised, inhabitants could escape through these tunnels to another city. This created a vast underground network that ancient people used for centuries. Now let's jump forward in time and travel east to Japan, where modern engineering has created an underground marvel that rivals anything from the ancient world. Beneath the streets of Tokyo and its surrounding areas lies a structure so massive that it's been called the Underground Temple or the Pantheon of Flood Control. Its official name is the Metropolitan Area Outer Underground Discharge Channel, but it's better known as the GCANS project. Japan has always struggled with flooding during the typhoon season. Heavy rains can cause rivers to overflow, destroying homes and infrastructure. In the 1990s, Japanese engineers came up with an ambitious solution: build a massive underground system to collect excess water and channel it away from populated areas. Construction began in 1992 and took over a decade to complete. The result is one of the most impressive pieces of infrastructure in the world. The GCANS project consists of 5 massive concrete containment silos, each 65 meters tall and 32 meters in diameter. These silos are connected by over 6 kilometers of tunnels, some large enough to fit a space shuttle. But the most spectacular part is the main water tank, known as the Underground Temple. This enormous chamber is 54 meters long, 25 meters wide, and 18 meters high. The ceiling is supported by 59 massive concrete pillars, each weighing 500 tons. Standing in this space feels like being inside an ancient cathedral, except everything is made of raw concrete, and the scale is almost incomprehensible. When heavy rains come, water flows into the silos through a network of channels connected to rivers and drainage systems. The water is then pumped into the main tank and eventually discharged into the Edo River, which can handle the extra volume. The system can pump 14,000 tons of water per minute, protecting the homes and businesses of millions of people in the greater Tokyo area. Since becoming operational in 2006, the GCANS project has prevented countless floods and saved billions of dollars in potential damage. It's a perfect example of how modern underground engineering can solve problems that would have been impossible to address on the surface. Let's continue our journey and travel south to India, where underground architecture takes on a spiritual and artistic dimension. Throughout India, especially in the western and northern regions, you'll find thousands of stepwells, known locally as vavs or bowries. These aren't simple wells. They're elaborate multi-story structures that descend deep into the earth, combining practical water management with breathtaking architecture. The most famous of these is Chand Bowery in the state of Rajasthan. Built over 1,000 years ago, this stepwell is one of the deepest and most visually stunning in India. It consists of 3,500 steps arranged in perfect geometric patterns across 13 levels, descending 30 meters into the earth. Looking down into Chand Bowery is mesmerizing. The steps create optical illusions, patterns within patterns that seem to shift as you change your viewing angle. At the bottom sits a pool of water fed by underground aquifers. Stepwells served multiple purposes in ancient India. Obviously, they provided access to water, which was crucial in a hot, dry climate. But they were also social centers where people gathered, especially during the hottest parts of the day. The deeper you go into a stepwell, the cooler it becomes. At the bottom levels, the temperature can be 5 to 6 degrees Celsius cooler than at the surface, making these structures natural air-conditioned spaces. Many stepwells also had religious significance. Temples and shrines were often built into the walls, and the act of descending to collect water was seen as a spiritual journey, moving from the chaos of the everyday world into a cooler, quieter, more meditative space. The architecture of stepwells is incredibly sophisticated. Ancient engineers had to account for water table fluctuations throughout the year, structural stability to prevent collapse, and drainage to prevent flooding during monsoon season. The most elaborate stepwells have multiple chambers, galleries, and pavilions with intricate carvings covering every surface. Some are decorated with thousands of sculptures depicting gods, goddesses, animals, and scenes from Hindu mythology. The Rani Ki Vav Stepwell in Gujarat, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, has over 800 sculptures and is considered one of the finest examples of stepwell architecture in the world. Sadly, many stepwells fell into disrepair during the colonial period when new water supply systems were introduced. Some were filled in or forgotten. But in recent years, there's been renewed interest in preserving these incredible structures, not just as historical monuments, but as sustainable water management systems that could be relevant again in an era of climate change. Moving further east, let's explore Vietnam, where a different kind of underground world emerged from the necessity of war. The Cu Chi tunnels, located near Ho Chi Minh City, represent one of the most extensive underground networks ever created for military purposes. During the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong guerrilla fighters needed a way to hide from American forces, move supplies, and launch surprise attacks. Their solution was to create an underground city that eventually stretched for over 250 kilometers. The Cu Chi tunnels weren't just simple passages. They were a complete underground infrastructure with multiple levels, some reaching depths of 10 meters below the surface. The tunnel system included living quarters where soldiers ate and slept, hospitals where doctors performed surgery by candlelight, kitchens with specially designed chimneys that dispersed smoke far from the cooking area to avoid detection, storage facilities for weapons and supplies, and even theaters where propaganda films were shown to boost morale. What makes the Cu Chi tunnels even more impressive is how they were built. Guerrilla fighters dug them by hand using basic tools, working mostly at night to avoid detection. The entrances were incredibly well camouflaged, often hidden under leaves or disguised as regular objects. Some entrances were so small that only Vietnamese fighters, who were generally smaller in stature than American soldiers, could fit through them. The tunnels also had numerous booby traps and false passages designed to confuse and injure anyone who discovered them. Life underground was incredibly harsh. The air was stifling, with limited ventilation. There was constant danger of collapse, flooding during the rainy season, and numerous health hazards including malaria, poisonous centipedes, and venomous snakes that sometimes entered the tunnels. Despite these conditions, thousands of people lived in the tunnels for years, emerging at night to fight and returning underground during the day when American forces conducted search operations. The Americans tried numerous tactics to destroy the tunnel system. They used specially trained soldiers called tunnel rats who would enter the tunnels to map them and engage enemy fighters in the darkness. They bombed the area extensively and even tried flooding the tunnels or pumping in tear gas. Nothing worked completely. The tunnel network was too extensive, too well designed, and too important to the Viet Cong resistance. Today, portions of the Cu Chi tunnels have been preserved and widened slightly for tourists to experience, offering a sobering reminder of the ingenuity and determination born from the desperation of war. Now let's look at a very different kind of underground city, one that exists in the heart of modern urban life. In Seoul, South Korea, beneath the glittering skyscrapers and busy streets, there's an entire world of underground shopping centers, entertainment complexes, and transportation hubs that millions of people use every day without giving it a second thought. Seoul's underground city isn't secret or hidden. It's deliberately designed as an extension of the city above, creating a climate-controlled environment where people can shop, eat, work, and travel regardless of the weather outside. The COEX Mall, located in the Gangnam district, is one of the largest underground shopping centers in the world. Spanning over 14,000 square meters, it contains hundreds of shops, restaurants, a movie theater, an aquarium, and even a library. The entire complex is connected to the subway system, allowing people to travel across the city and do all their shopping without ever stepping outside. During Seoul's harsh winters or hot, humid summers, this underground infrastructure becomes even more valuable. But Seoul's underground network goes far beyond shopping. There are underground parking facilities that can accommodate thousands of vehicles, concert halls, exhibition spaces, and office buildings with multiple basement levels. The city has even built underground pedestrian networks that allow people to walk for kilometers beneath the city streets, sheltered from traffic and weather. Some of these passages are beautifully designed with art installations, natural lighting from above, and wide corridors that feel more like elegant boulevards than tunnels. This approach to underground development represents a solution to one of Asia's biggest challenges: limited space in densely populated cities. By building downward instead of just upward, cities like Seoul, Tokyo, and Singapore are creating additional usable space without expanding their geographical footprint. It's a trend that's likely to accelerate in the coming decades as urban populations continue to grow. Finally, Let's return to China one more time to explore a phenomenon that's both fascinating and controversial: the underground infrastructure of modern Chinese cities. In addition to the historical Cold War bunkers, many Chinese cities have developed extensive underground networks for very practical modern reasons. In Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and other major cities, massive underground shopping malls, subway systems, and parking facilities have been built to ease congestion on the surface. But there's also a darker side to China's underground world. In Beijing, thousands of people live in what are called rat tribes, or underground living quarters. These are basement spaces, former civil defense shelters, and unused underground areas that have been converted into cheap housing. As property prices in Beijing skyrocketed over the past few decades, many young workers, migrants, and students who couldn't afford regular apartments moved underground. Some of these spaces are cramped, poorly ventilated, and lack natural light, but they're affordable and located in central areas where residents can access jobs and opportunities. The Chinese government has been cracking down on this underground housing in recent years due to safety concerns, particularly the risk of flooding and fire. But the phenomenon highlights a broader issue facing many Asian megacities: how to house rapidly growing populations when surface space is limited and expensive. While the rat tribes represent the unfortunate side of urban inequality, they also demonstrate human adaptability and the ways people create communities even in the most challenging circumstances. So what can we learn from all these underground cities across Asia? First, they show us that humans have always been innovators, finding creative solutions to the challenges they face. Whether it was ancient civilizations in Cappadocia carving cities into rock to escape invaders, Chinese engineers building nuclear shelters to survive apocalypse, or modern cities developing underground infrastructure to maximize limited space, the drive to adapt and overcome is universal. Second, these underground worlds remind us that there's always more to discover, even in places we think we know well. Beneath the cities where millions of people live ordinary lives, there are extraordinary spaces that tell stories of fear, hope, ingenuity, and survival. Some are ancient, some are modern, some are beautiful, and some are brutal, but all of them reveal something important about the cultures that created them. Third, as we face future challenges like climate change, rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and growing urban populations, the underground world may become even more important. Countries like Singapore are already planning extensive underground infrastructure, including power plants, storage facilities, and transportation networks. Japan continues to improve its underground flood control systems, and cities around the world are looking at how they can build downward to create more sustainable, resilient urban environments. The next time you walk through a city, take a moment to think about what might be beneath your feet. There could be ancient tunnels that haven't been discovered yet, Cold War bunkers that were sealed and forgotten, or modern engineering marvels that work silently to protect millions of people from natural disasters. The underground world of Asia is vast, varied, and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. And who knows, maybe one day you'll have the chance to explore some of these incredible places yourself and experience firsthand the hidden cities that exist beneath the surface of our everyday world. If you're listening to this right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 5,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these tales matter.